What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jay-Z Bottom Lip, and today we're going to be talking about jailing. Jailing is very important to understand because it allows you to play layers with your opponent that puts them in situations that they have to guess off of. For an example, Havoc has a move where he's +8. After being +8, he can jail off his stand 1, which allows your opponent to have to guess no matter what they want. Sometimes you can stagger back 2 and put your opponent in a situation where they may armor because it limits their expectations of what they may be able to do after being held against +8 moves. But also wanted to let everybody know when someone jails with a move, you can't allow yourself to armor. You can't also fatal blow. There's nothing you literally can do. You can't neutral duck or anything like that. So Havoc again has something that's +8. His stand poke is also startup of 7. So since it's startup of 7, you have a 1 frame window or link, depending on how you want to say it or phrase it. He has a 1 frame link where he can jail off of his stand 1. After he jails off of his stand 1, he can either go into another mind game since his stand 1 is +2, or he can complete the full string and throw you off. But again, I believe his 1, 2, 4 or 1, 2, 3 string has a gap in it, so he can play off of that, which also is another layer that puts you in a situation that you don't want to be in. So usually what typically a lot of people like to do is after he does back 2, they usually respect him, so he can either go for a grab, he can go strike throw, or he can just sit there and bait you to armor and then punish you for a big combo after that. So it's kind of like his world after he gets this. There's ways that he can set this up by going for a safe jump after, going for an initial jump in, or he can just kind of just dash in and use back 2 to kind of pressure you. But I also wanted everyone to see after he does back 2, there's literally nothing I can do as far as an armor, fatal blow, or anything in particular. So I'll be setting myself to neutral duck. And once after he does back 2, I'm a neutral duck and watch how it jails me. I also can't even poke as well, and I'll try it. So it's not allowing me to do anything after this move. So it kind of puts me in a situation where I have to guess strike throw. And this is where OS duck comes into play, which I also have another video on, and you guys can learn from doing that as well. I'll also show you that you can't armor after this as well. It won't allow you to, because again, like I said, it jails. So basically jailing just means that there's nothing that you can do. You literally have to guess strike throw, or you just have to wait until your opponent is done after you see the back 2. This is really strong, and a lot of other cameos allow you to go for things like this, especially like Baraka and Kano or other characters that allow you to be super plus, and then you can continue your pressure and your opponent has to guess strike throw, or you can just go into some more layers after that. This type of play style is very strong. Most characters don't have these type of setups, but Havoc is blessed to have something like this where he can go into strike throw, command grab you into Darius, and extend off of it as well. But that's about it with this video. I wanted to keep it very short and simple, and I just wanted to explain to you guys on what it looks like to jail and how to jail with your opponent. Also wanted to give you guys some more examples of what it looks like to jail off of certain moves. I have set the AI to basically armor after certain strings. So strings that have gaps, as you can tell, he will armor through it. But this string in particular that he has, Kenshi has no gap in it. Also, this string right here doesn't have a gap as well. So I'm going to show you what it looks like to jail off of the string into Kano that allows you to keep pressuring. See how he wasn't able to armor there at all? He basically had to hold all that, and there was no way that he could neutral duck off of that as well. So this right here is really good if you want to continue your pressure or put your opponent in situations and layers where you can kind of set them up to shimmy, auto shimmy, and so on and so forth. You can also do this with Johnny as well, where Johnny can actually jail off of his strings, and you can kind of play off your plus strings and kind of put your opponent in a situation where they have to guess strike throw or whatever it is that you want to do. So make sure that I set him to armor. All right, so now you can do things like this, and that right there is really strong. Let me get it. So all that's safe. That's really strong too if you want to continue your pressure. This also breaks armor. There's different ways that you can like play off of your armor break, where you can put your opponent in situations where they actually have to deal with your pressure. Like even though it doesn't jail, it still will put your opponent in a situation where they have to respect it because it will break their armor. As you can tell, even though I didn't commit to anything, if I do this right here, it kind of puts my opponent in a situation where they have to hold all this. If I do it correctly, it can even do things like this as well. If I do it right, all that jails right there, and it's safe. So like you can play off of these things, and they become very strong. You can even make overhead safe and stuff like that. That's basically what Goro does. Kind of make things like this safe if you wanted to go for this, because this has a gap in it, but it makes it safe and it also jails it. And then you can kind of break your opponent's armor, as you can tell right there. That also jails, as you can see. And you can punish them for that as well if they wanted the armor. Things like this are very strong, especially when you continue your pressure and put your opponent in situations where they actually have to pay attention to what it is that you do. And then from here, you can create another layer, mind games, and so on and so forth. I also wanted to show you guys on how you can manipulate using jailing as well to your advantage. This is not necessarily jailing. I'll probably make some videos on this on how to utilize cameos, but this is a way that you can start manipulating jailing, because they don't necessarily jail, but they do in a sense, because what you're doing is you're keeping your turn by being safe, or putting your opponent in a situation where they kind of have to guess strike throw after you complete a string by using the timing of your cameo. So for an example, everybody knows Tanya likes to do things like this in particular. Right here, I'm safe after this string, but I'm also calling striker to kind of jail my pressure. You can't jump. You can't jump after this. You can't jump backwards. You can't jump forward. You shouldn't armor here at all, because you'll die for it. And then on top of that, you can't like poke me, because if you poke or anything like that, then I can actually get a full combo off a striker being able to hit you, and utilizing that and then going back into my same pressure as well. So this is one way that you can kind of manipulate using jail frames, or using this as if it does jail, but not necessarily it doesn't. You can even kind of just like duck here and continue your pressure. You can even make it even tighter by calling him a little earlier, and that's going to jail actually, and you can keep your pressure going. You can even do things like this to keep your pressure going, and then once you learn how to like jail, you'll learn how to utilize your cameo a little more. You can start doing things like this, making yourself safe, and then calling striker to come in. You can even do things like this, and it's still your turn. You can even do things like this. Hold on, let me make sure I do this right. And you can keep your turn right there. You're also like +8 or so. It's really strong, or super plus, where you can keep your turn going. And it's the same way that applies to Shang Tsung as well. You can kind of like manipulate jail frames by utilizing him in a way where you can actually do a string like this that jails, and then use Goro to kind of like keep your turn going. So do something like drill kick. So I think all this should jail. All that jails, right? So now I can do things like this to keep my pressure going. And that breaks armor, as you can tell. Let's make sure. See how he couldn't armor there? And you can kind of like blow your opponent up for something like this. Okay. Make sure I do this correctly. And that gels right there. And you can kind of just bait your opponent to press or something like that. And especially like with Tanya having so many like good pressure, you can make that safe now, and then you can punish her. Things like this are very strong because it allows you to play in a way where you can play very disrespectful. You can even do like things like this to actually like break your opponent's armor. See if I can get it. Things like that can also break your opponent's armor. And this is really good for like, if I can get the timing. This will actually help you break their armor. You can continue your pressure, or it will make them be scared not to armor here because they know that you're going to break their armor and it just wasted a bar that they may need to keep their pressure going, or when they need it, they can actually take their turn. But since they don't have that bar, you kind of utilize that in a sense where, see something real quick. Yeah, this should break armor too. Oh yeah, that jails. Yep. Yeah, that jails. Okay, cool. So things like this can really help you at armoring and doing what it is that you want to do to keep your turn. Things like this are very strong, especially if you want to pressure or oppress your opponent and play in an ambiguous way. It's your boy Jay-Z Bottom Lip. I'm out.